And I'm KPHRED. Yeah, found it out, folks. With my co-host, Barbara, Grandma Spider-Man. How are we doing today, Barbara?
Terrific. Thank you. How about you?
I'm in a teeny tiny broadcasting booth on a Saturday.
Okay. I know what that means.
Yeah, it's all good. Quick to our listeners, and I can see them out there on KPHRED, as well as there's some folks on getmeradio.com. You can chat with us at KPHRED.com, or you can call in and ask questions at 323-580-5755. That's 323-580-5755. So, Barbara, what's new?
Well, let's see. We have a lot of new hosts and radio shows on KPHRED.com.
This is true. Greg Markell's Animals Unplugged kicked off his first episode this past, I think it was Monday, and he's already got episode 2 up and ready. We're going to hear from Katrin Becker of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in Business in a bit. Talk to another show host. What's up with the power of one? Now, sorry.
The Power of Now, Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment with Gilda and Barbara. We are releasing episodes every week. We're currently working on, let's see. Oh my gosh, Eckhart Tolle's book, the big book called A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. They're really good episodes. If you are into spirituality or you have questions about spirituality, or you just want to go deeper into the subject, join us on the podcast, and we're open to answering any questions you might have. So
the word now, if you spell it backwards, what's it sound like?
One.
So I'm dyslexic in what I say.
Right? Oh my gosh. So the great thing about one and oneness is that we are all connected. We're the human organism on planet Earth.
I don't know. There's some people I just do not be connected to. And we'll get into that later with our topic of what is stupidity and where does it come from. I mean, we did what is wisdom and where does it come from last week. So the brave people, I won't say fools, but it would be PHOOLS, who ventured to the show today, they get what is stupidity and where is it coming from. So,
oh my gosh.
Of the upcoming show, Chris Pratt had another couple of episodes of The Healing Conspiracy, and they really rock. And new episode of Vision in Action, as well as Discover Rising Tides this week. And Discover Rising Tides is actually mindfulness and stress management.
Nice. So that's KPHRED.com, spelled KPHRED.com. We'd love it if you check out the website, check out all the radio shows, and comment and chat with us and connect. That would be great.
How do people spell the word telephone?
Same as KPHRED.
Exactly. It sounds, I don't get it, but that's okay. All right. So what's new? What else is new going on? Or do we start jumping to our next guest? You tell me.
Well, okay. One other new thing is I am on the precipice of publishing the 4th edition of The Power of Life Coaching, Manifesting Transformation in Relationships, Spirituality, Financial, Professional, and Wellness and Emotional Aspects. And I think it's going to be a great book. I've read some of the stories in it. You know what it's like, Phred? It's like chicken soup for the soul, written by coaches that are working with other people to help make a difference in the world. It's really, some of the chapters are moving, and other ones are informational, and it's really inspiring to read.
Since you're from Southern California, I won't make a comment in my normal South Side of Chicago, perspective, because others might misinterpret it. So we'll stay on this side, but it does sound awesome. I want to know when the 5th book starts.
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm looking at December of this year. December of this year, I'll start putting it out there. Does somebody want to be in the book? So yeah.
All right. So let's get a jump on the 5th book. Who would be? Describe to us who would be you would want to. What that person that would contribute a chapter, because I'm dyslexic in speaking. What that person would contribute a chapter in book number 5 would look like, or how would you define them?
What would it be like? Okay, so here's the thing. The books that I've been creating have all been Wainwright Global Certified Professional Coaches that are sharing their experiences, what brought them to coaching, and how they had breakthroughs personally because of coaching, and then how they've turned around and helped a lot of other people after becoming a coach. So it's a very powerful, lot of powerful stories in there. So that's what I'd be looking for. We call it Volume 5. Volume 5 will be Wainwright Global Certified Professional Coaches. Again.
I think there should be. All right. So first we're going to. How do I get to do this? We won't go there. So, got to take you down the rabbit hole.
Oh, boy. This could be dangerous, Phred. This could be really dangerous.
So, if I say you're in L.A., you're going to say, no, it's Orange County. And to me, I think it's all that area, nebulous area, south of Santa Barbara and north of San Diego. My theory is the zombie apocalypse has already broken out in what we'll say parts of LA. Okay,
we can concur on that.
Ultimately, I also believe that the city council of LA, and ultimately the governors of California will mandate that zombies have to have equal rights as people, since they would be considered former people. How will you need to alter your Wainwright Global Certification Program to certify zombies?
That's really a deep question there. I think that working with zombies and trying to educate them in the skills of becoming a certified professional coach would be very difficult, because I'm not even sure that zombies can verbally communicate effectively.
Brains, much like politicians.
Oh my gosh. So there's that. But here's the good news about the zombies in LA. They can vote.
Yeah, I know. God bless them.
They will vote, so it's all good. They can't get in my book, but they can vote.
So, folks, if you have a question for Barbara or our next guest, 323-580-5755, and it does not have to be about zombies. We are not limiting today's discussion to zombies. I just want to make that clear. So, our next guest on here is the author of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly of Business, Katrin Becker. I love that title, and I promise next time you're on, I'm going to have the I was just watching the movie the other day.
That would be perfect. Although you'd be surprised how many people don't realize that was lifted from something.
How could you not, man?
People these days, I don't know. We're getting old.
Could be a big age gap there.
I will admit, I was on a meeting the other day, and I said, was commenting on their name, and I said, yeah, but then again, my parents knew better, and they still named me Phred McMurray. And I said, you probably don't get that. And she goes, no, I did. I'm thinking she was probably watching Nick at Night when she was growing up.
Nick at Night was the best. I loved watching Nick at Night growing up.
All right.
So many great shows.
All right. So you picked our venture point in. What show did you like most on Nick at Night?
I loved Bewitched. Absolutely. And I think, I've never really connected the dots until just now, but that probably explains a lot about what I do today and kind of just like inner magic that we all have. It was from Samantha.
All right. So then, and I'm going to let Barbara have the next question, but we're on the Bewitched thing. So, were you a first Darren or second Darren fan?
Oh, Dick York.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Go ahead, Barbara.
So I passed?
You're past the first step.
I'm sorry, you watched that when you were young, right? So I'm just curious if you ever tried to twitch your nose and disappear.
A bazillion times. I don't know why it hasn't worked yet. I would try. I would be like, come on. And my nose is a little crooked, so I feel like maybe I tweaked it too much as a kid.
I don't know how she did that nose twitch, man. It was really good. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Too bad this isn't TV, so that people couldn't see us all sitting there trying to wiggle our noses.
True that. What was it?
I gotta say, in the effort of spending time at a mirror trying to figure out how to wiggle my nose, I realized I could move my ears independently. So it was not wasted time.
See, I could do the upper eyebrow twitch, which my ex-wife never could, but my daughter can and her husband can't. And it's, it's like, no, I guess it's genetic. I can do the upper eye things, but not the nose or the ears. Weird facial tics is our subtopic of today.
Well, then if we're going to talk about that, then you have to bring in the tongue twirl and people who can curl their tongues and people that can make it do like the tri-horn hat thing. I can't do that one, but I can make it into a roll.
Barbara, would you like to jump into this? And Keith's going, oh my God, eventually they're going to come to me about this stuff. Which we will, fair warning.
Yes. Well, actually, that's such a true thing that some people can't curl their tongue. They can't flip it backwards. And I can do all of those things. So it is genetic again.
So what does that say about those of us who have these facial tic capabilities?
We're special.
But you have to wonder, evolutionary. Is it, am I more advanced because I can do these things, or am I less evolved? Now, that's a good rabbit hole question for you, Phred.
Ooh, I like that. I got to write this one down, Barbara. Take that.
Oh, gosh, that's a great question. And what comes to my mind is, what would we need to be able to curl our tongue for? Usually when there's an evolutionary event, it's because of a survival reason. So what reason would we need to curl our tongue for survival purposes. I have no idea.
I don't know. Maybe I think about watching my cat or my dog drink water and how their tongues move for that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something like that's how we used to lap up water before we had, invented straws. Maybe that's why straws are the shape they are, because we were like, oh, we used to drink it like this, like a proboscis or something.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Who knew we would talk about this today?
Right. Oh my gosh. So one of Fred's topics that he wanted to talk about is...
Wait. I have an answer on why the tongue curling or the other stuff would, if you look at AI interfaces, there'll be a facial AI interface. So that way, by doing the ear things or the nose things or the tongue things, hit sensors for the AI virtual personas.
Okay.
Maybe it'll be like a future test to prove that we're human, because we can't do that.
No, you know how you prove you're human? You tick the box that says
like I can't program a box to be clicked. So go ahead. Now I interrupted you with my answer to the earlier question. So go ahead. You're ask the question. Ooh, people from Bing. Hello, people from Bing.
Sometimes we look at things and we go, wow, that's really stupid. So I guess the question is, what's something that you would consider really stupid that you've witnessed?
God, well.
It's a good question. I go, gosh, what could that be?
That is a loaded question.
Isn't it? That's what I told Fred. This is dangerous content.
I mean, I feel like nobody can go out driving anywhere and not witness something stupid. You see it a lot in cars. It's like, once you have those barriers up, like the glass isn't clear, you can't be seen, and people do some really, really stupid stuff. But it's really interesting thinking about stupidity, and this is something I talk a lot about with my son, because my son has a very high intelligence, and so for him, he places a lot of value on intelligence, and so we talk a lot about, well, what does that mean to be intelligent? And his sister is really good at communicating and being just really gregarious and able to engage a crowd, but she doesn't have the same level of book smarts that he does. And so he judges his smartness as being something, higher up than what she can do. And so I love the analogy people make that, hey, if you tried to teach a fish to fly, it looks stupid because it can't do that. The same if you try to teach a bird to swim that can't swim. Obviously, there's birds that can do both, but it definitely is a contextual thing in which we think of stupidity. So, I have a lot of thoughts on that topic.
So, last week we talked about the wisdom aspect of it, and when I go the other way, it's stupid. There are some very smart people out there who do incredibly stupid things, and I'm going to stay away from politics because I 323-580-5755. I'm going to stay away from politics because this is an election year here and it's all stupid. So we're not going to go there. But you cited the roads and out here I see I'm going to go really slow in the fast lane until the person pulls up on the slow lane and starts to pass me, and then I'm going to go really fast, and I see that passive aggressive behavior, and it's stupid. But in business, what are stupid things you see? What's stupid in business? Why do people do them?
I think it's obviously not being connected in with what we're thinking about, but it's also one of those things where, do you just let it land at stupid and just say, oh gosh, that was stupid? Well, because here's the thing, is so many people will start and go, man, I'm so stupid. And so I love to work with my clients of like, well, you're not actually stupid. We have plenty of evidence to the contrary of that. It's more about that thing I did, that behavior was stupid, or that lack of thought process was stupid, not actually you yourself.
I love that, Catherine. That's such an important distinction.
Thank you.
And, you know, I tell my grandson, I will always love you, always. I just might not like what you always do.
Exactly.
And that's really important for everyone to know. You know, you're loved, but wow, I don't know what made you decide to do that. Oh gosh.
I think, you know, there's times where we don't make the best choices, and that we can look back and go, wow, that was stupid. That was not smart because I know better. So it's whether or not we just leave it at that, and then it just ends with a stupid thing, or does it go to become wisdom, like we talked about last time?
Yes.
And making that transition from one to the other.
Absolutely. And if you haven't done something stupid in your life, you're probably not a human being. You're probably like an AI or something.
Yeah, you're not learning, because if we didn't do the stupid thing, we wouldn't learn.
That's so true.
You know, you might look at a baby trying to, you know, walk or crawl, and it's sometimes you see those one babies that like scoop with just like one arm and like one leg. And if you're the baby that can crawl on their hands and knees, you might look at the other baby and be like, man, they're stupid. They don't know how to use both legs, but they still figure it out, and they learn, and we grow. So it's part of the process, and it's just not making it a personal thing. It's just, man, I learned a lot today.
That's right.
I like that's a really good AI insight, because if you think about it, it's a large language model, so it encompasses all data, which is why in the data set there's wrong data, because humans have a filter to filter out bullshit. I'm not supposed to say that, but it's my fracking show. So, whereas the computer so in other words, the only way a computer can learn ultimately from its own mistakes is if a human tells it. And then I go back to my phrase, there's no artificial intelligence is no match for natural stupidity. So what's coming up on the good, the bad, and the ugly in business? What's the next episode about?
The next episode is kind of a juicy one, and we do talk politics in it, which has been my hard and fast rule to not talk politics, because it is such a controversial thing. But there are businesses that revolve around politics. Mm-hmm. And so it felt like a hole that I hadn't quite explored yet, that needed to, you know, shed a little light on what that's like to be in that industry. So it's a pretty juicy conversation from someone who is behind the curtain and sees all of the things that aren't being reported on the news. So it's a good one to tune into for sure.
And what day is it going up?
It's Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, noon Mountain, 1 Central, or 2 Eastern. And for those of you outside of the U.S., I can't do that much conversion, but hopefully that gives you enough to find out your time zone. I can only do so much. I'm only one person.
I love it. Barbara, do you want to introduce our next guest?
I'd love to. Okay, so our next guest is Robinson, and I am excited to hear what is going on with Keith and his company, because it is health related, it is vital, and it's something that we all need to know about. Welcome, Keith.
Welcome.
I have a question. Do I need to be able to curl my tongue, wiggle my nose, or wiggle my ears to get into this conversation?
All three, all of the above.
I'm out, so.
Yes, new criteria.
I can move my ears, actually, yes.
All right, that's close enough.
That's good enough, right? Oh, my gosh.
So tell us about, go ahead.
I can't wait to hear about, you have some amazing news for people, and I want everybody to perk their ears up, because this is really important. It's not well known, and it's something that everybody should know about. So over to you, Keith.
Well, I agree with you. I think everybody should know this. Unfortunately, it's quite hidden. And I found out about this 16 years ago. And I used to be worried about family history because when I was in financial services, I used to be setting up policies for people. And then if there was a family history issue, they'd have a loading on their policy. And I find out since it's not actually set in stone, because you can actually control your own destiny, you can control your own immune system, you can control everything else. But somebody said to me one day, you know that it's going to be possible to reverse heart disease shortly. I pricked up my ears and I said, I'd like to know more about that. So Mr. Skeptical decided that I needed to prove to myself that this was correct. So I had my cardiovascular system analyzed. I was 46 at the time. My vascular age was 40. I followed a protocol for 3 months, had my vascular age analyzed again. I had come down to a 22-year-old.
What?
A few months after that, I had it checked again, and I was down to a teenager.
What?
If I kept going, I'd have to look for a new birth certificate.
No kidding.
Different name.
Yes.
You get a different name this time around. Sorry.
Yeah, well, you'd have a lot more smarts about you second time round.
That's not necessarily a given since some of the stuff I've seen.
I'm on a journey ever since to help everybody I come across to be in far better control of their long-term health and wellness.
So I know you're in the starting phases of your upcoming show. Tell us about the format of the show. Is it just you? Are you dealing with guests? Give us an idea.
Well, obviously, it's just in the planning stages at this point, but I foresee having guests. I foresee having a co-host. I foresee sharing information on a health and wellness perspective, but with a good bit of humor thrown in. I think humor has to be one of the most important things in the world today. You have to be able to see the funny side of things. And I generally think fast on my feet, and it has opened doors for me here and there, especially when I was back doing financial services. And when you want to greet somebody at the door, and you want them to invite you in, so you have to think fast on your feet in those situations.
Barbara?
Yes?
Go ahead. I'll let you take the next question.
Okay. So I was going to ask if you could repeat the time it took from the first time when you started I don't remember if you called it a protocol.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first time to the when you went and you dropped one level and you dropped another level.
Yeah.
What was the length of time between those two things?
The first testing was when my vascular system was that of a 40-year-old when I was 46. Mm-hmm. 90 days later, my vascular age was 22.
What?
And then 60 days later, my vascular age was a teenager.
Okay. So that's basically 5 months that you went from a 40-year-old vascular system to a 14-year-old vascular system?
Under a teenager, under 20 years of age. And how that's measured, you have there's certain measurements within the vascular system, like central aortic systolic pressure, which is the blood pressure in the heart at the left ventricle. But there's also another measurement called the RAI, the radial augmentation index, which is measuring the percentage stiffness of the arteries. Ooh. So there's average central aortic pressure for age groups and average radial augmentation index for age groups. And that's what the measurement was bringing me down to. So an average 20 to 30-year-old would have the arterial stiffness, the percentage stiffness of about 54%. But I actually got mine down below 33% arterial stiffness.
Wow. Okay. So this is where I think it's super important. I hope everybody's ears have perked up, and maybe you want to call us at 323-580-5755 because this is groundbreaking, even though, how long has this been around, this protocol been around?
Well, it's actually around a very long time, because there was a Dr. Joseph Prendergast in the States, in Palo Alto in California, who does actually have Irish roots. And he was looking for ways to help his patients, whom 85% were diabetic. And statistically, 2/3 of diabetics die from cardiovascular disease.
Wow.
So he was looking for ways to help his patients, and he started playing around with what he calls arginine therapy. So arginine is the precursor to nitric oxide. And when you make enough nitric oxide, your vascular system cleans itself. So he was testing this out, and over a 20-year period with 19,000 patients, he had no patient die from a heart attack or stroke in that period of time.
Oh my gosh. So to me, this is really groundbreaking, and you're telling me that it's been around for at least 20 years, and I find it very discouraging that this isn't well-known and widely used knowledge. So I'm hoping that people that are listening right now are taking note, especially if, who doesn't know somebody? I mean, everybody I know has somebody that they know that has a problem with their cardiovascular system. So it seems like this would be something that you'd want to know about, and it'd be very important for people that are listening right now to get information on how they can learn more about this.
Exactly. I mean, it is life-changing. It's life-saving information, and it's something that every single individual can benefit from, because we're only talking about nutrition, and therefore it doesn't contraindicate to medications. This is food. I often hear people saying, oh, well, I have to check with my doctor. Can I use this? And I say, does your doctor allow you to eat food? Yeah. And you're sound.
Yeah, there's a bunch of foods he doesn't allow me to eat. I still do, but he doesn't allow me to eat. All right, so my question is more about you. You obviously talk to a lot of people, and what's the reason primarily given that they don't want to embark on this?
Because there is a huge financial benefit to push other directions.
No, I get the doctors,
yes.
and I'm not talking about big pharma.
Sorry, I wasn't clear on the question.
No, but so an individual, if they're worried about, anyone listening can tell that Barbara's highly interested in this. So when you get people like that and then they don't start along the protocol, not because of big pharma, but something in them, because
yes.
I've said to my doctor a couple of times, no freaking way, I'll do it my way.
Yes.
But why do most people not want to do it?
There's only generally two reasons. Number one is they feel that the only person to take advice from is the one in the white coat with a stethoscope. Or the other reason is that it's financially not viable for them to access this extremely high quality raw food supplementation to incorporate into their diet. There's only two reasons.
Okay.
Okay, that begs the question. How expensive is it?
It's not really for what you're getting.
Right.
It's actually relatively inexpensive for what you're getting.
You can't buy your health is what the normal response is, right? You can't buy your health. However, what I'm hearing right now is, oh, yes, you can. So
yes, you can. Yeah, you definitely can. It's up to somebody what they want to give to their body to address what they want to address. So if somebody just is in fairly good order and they want to perform better, recover better, avoid issues down the road, a small bit of nutrition will help them. But if you, for instance, the fellow that I came across back in time who was told he needed a triple bypass and he didn't want to have his chest cranked open, so he went very strong on dosages for the 3-month period. He wanted to give his body ample time, fuel to work on the problem. And he went back 3 months later and told he no longer required a bypass because he had melted all the issue where they were going to bypass it.
90 days, and he was all better.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. So I guess from what I just heard there's varying amounts of that you'd want to take based on your situation.
Exactly. So if you have a big problem, you throw big fuel at it. If you have a small problem, you don't need as much fuel.
Gotcha. Very interesting. I'm liking this conversation. So this Dr. Pendergrass you mentioned, he's the one that worked with the diabetics. Did he?
Yes.
Okay, so he didn't lose anybody. He didn't lose any patients through a heart disease or anything. Did they eventually not have the diabetic problem anymore, or was it just a fix for they definitely didn't die because of a heart failure?
We have seen huge benefits from the diabetes perspective as well as from the cardiovascular perspective.
Okay.
Because if you have every organ working better, if your pancreas is working better because it has more blood flow,
yeah.
If every organ is getting proper blood supply with proper nutrition carried in it, why isn't it going to work better? And a little known fact, if you have adequate nitric oxide production, your liver can engineer cells to excrete insulin, which gives your body another form of natural insulin to balance sugars.
Wow. Okay. So this sounds like it could potentially help in a lot of physical ailments that people have through improper nutrition.
Correct.
Okay. So I want to ask, how does somebody get a hold of you, Keith? How do people talk to you?
Wait. Time out. We have to go down the rabbit hole before you ask them that question.
Of course we have to do that. And if anybody's heard anything that they'd like to ask questions about, I would imagine there would be a few. 323-580-5755. All right, Phred, let's hear it.
You sound so much better saying that than I do. All right. So because Keith is in Ireland, I get to go back in Irish history. And there was a great migration to the U.S. Because of the Great Irish Potato Famine.
Yep.
So since this is always about zombies, space aliens, or AI, which of those three will cause the next great Irish potato famine that forces a bunch of people in Ireland to leave the planet? I got two in there.
You're working under the assumption that there will be.
That's the basis of the question. There will be, because either aliens, AI, or no, I almost said the P word. Can't say the P word. Aliens, AI, or zombies. There, I said it.
You better put the P word into the chat so I know what you mean.
Politicians. So not them.
Well, there is a concerted effort to interfere with the food supply on an ongoing basis. So anything is possible to cause an issue in that regard.
All right, Barbara, now you can take that last question, and then we'll go into the stupid part of the discussion.
Okay, so Keith, I'm sure that some listeners here are just amazed with the information that you share, and they most likely, like me, want to learn more about it because they probably do know somebody that has issues with their cardiovascular system, or maybe they're diabetic and they need help. How do we get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I can give you an email address, or I can give you a WhatsApp number. There's many options.
Well, I recommend throwing one of those out there. What's the email address?
KEITHROBYN@gmail.com.
ROBSYN@gmail.com. Okay. So if somebody wants to learn more about this amazing product that can potentially save your life or save you from having to have open heart surgery, or help get rid of your diabetic condition, it's KeithRobson@gmail.com. That's KeithRobsyn@gmail.com.
That, yes, and anybody can access me there. I normally set up Zoom calls with people on a one-to-one basis, because it's as much about education and support as it is to access something, because I don't want people going off half-cocked, not knowing what they're doing. I would prefer them to know exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, and be on the right path.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. And I understand from what you were talking about earlier that it would be very important to have a conversation and speak with you first, because if somebody is on a lot of medication to try and correct their current situation, and they start taking this product, which makes their cardiovascular system start working better, then there could be a consequence. Is that right?
Yes, because if you're on medications to hide a symptom, but never addressing the problem, once you take away the problem, the medications will have a negative effect. Like blood pressure medication is there to tell the heart to lower down, but the body's asking the heart to rise up. So if you fix the original problem and the body stops asking the heart to rise in pressure, but the medication is still telling it to lower down, well, then that's when you'll end up in trouble. And I'll give you an example of that. I did get a phone call from a surgeon one day and who asked me to help him get his brother off medications. So I did the guidance from the nutritional supplementation part, but he took his own blood pressure every day and sent a picture of it to his brother, and then his brother guided him on when to lower the medications. But it only took actually 6 weeks for him to work his way off his medications.
Oh, that's incredible, because I know there's just so many people out there taking that medication. I don't even know what it is. That's like, I know there's some weird names for that medication, but what it does is it lowers people's blood pressure.
Yes.
Right? So, yeah, there's a lot of people doing. So I don't even know what causes it. Personally, I don't take any medication, so this is all kind of.
Congratulations.
She's natural. Yes, this is natural, Barbara, non-medicated.
That's correct. This is it, folks. This is the real deal.
All right. So,
no medicated commentary from Barbara Wainwright. You got it. So I don't know about the different medications. All I know is that I do hear from a lot of people saying they're taking something to lower their blood pressure. I don't even know what causes that. Is that a hereditary thing, or what causes people to have high blood pressure?
The original reason would be a lack of nitric oxide production, and therefore their body's not cleaning the arteries all the time. So therefore they build up plaque. And as they build up plaque, that's going to cause a disruption of blood flow. And then as the plaque gets worse and worse, what happens is you're going to restrict the flow getting through, number one, which then causes a decrease in the blood supply getting to the organs and glands and everywhere else. Secondly, there's also a risk of the plaque rupturing, which can then cause a clot to form and travel, and that could cause a heart attack or stroke, depending on where that lodges.
Oh, my God. This is super dangerous stuff we're talking about here.
Well, so this is what's happening in people's arteries all the time, day by day. So if you're never making enough nitric oxide, that's a time bomb waiting to go off. If you make enough nitric oxide, you never build up the plaque in the first place.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. And so when did, or do you know, maybe you don't, when did we stop having enough nitric oxide in our regular diet?
Well, you see, there is a hereditary part of cardiovascular disease, and that would be a high level of something called asymmetric dimethylarginine. This is a blocker to nitric oxide production. So where if the arginine that you get in from food sources goes into the bloodstream, it parks on the endothelium, and we make nitric oxide. But if you have a high level of ADMA or a high level of myeloperoxidase, they inhibit that process happening, and therefore that person will make less nitric oxide than another person that doesn't have the blockers.
Wow. Okay. So it could be, it sounds like it could be hereditary, and it could be dietary.
Yes, but you can override both.
I love it. I just hope people are listening and captured that information. And if you didn't, you're going to have to go back and listen to the show again. Okay, so the next question, Phred, you want to? I was going
to bring Katrin back in the discussion and go on to the what's stupidity, and where does it come from, and why do I have to deal with it? Oh, I'm sorry, not that last one. So I'll let you lead off with the first question under what's stupidity. Come on, what's your first question?
Are you asking me, or you want me to? Okay, so
I'll let you ask the first sub question of stupidity.
So to Keith, right? So the question.
Both, but you can go with Keith first.
Okay. In your opinion, Keith, what have you encountered in maybe either your day-to-day life or maybe looking at the big picture overall? What have you encountered that in your mind is pretty stupid?
So you're guessing that I'm some sort of an expert on stupidity.
No, that wasn't it at all.
Every person, every member of humanity is an expert in stupidity.
Yeah. As long as if you make a mistake and you don't learn from it, that's stupidity. Everyone makes mistakes and everyone should learn from them. But I have noticed over time there seems to be a complete lack of common sense. Where did that go to? I don't know. There's also a lack of manners. Why have they gone? These are all things that should be brought back somehow. When you were talking about the stupid earlier, I put a comment in the chat there about something that I saw that looked really stupid to me. There was a guy in a swimming pool wearing a face mask. Now, unless he was practicing for being waterboarded sometime down the road, I don't know. But that to me took a special type of stupid.
Well, that had to be it. He was practicing for a waterboarding experience.
Yeah. Or maybe he was waterboarded before and he liked the experience. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I know. I've seen some crazy things with those face masks with COVID, and everybody said, well, you have to wear a face mask. In fact, they ordered it by law here, at least in Orange County, California. You couldn't go into a grocery store without one, which was the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. At any rate, there were people in their vehicles, alone.
On their own. Yeah.
In their vehicles with a face mask, right?
So you're in charge of a vehicle.
Yes.
You're lowering your oxygen intake.
Yes.
You're increasing your carbon dioxide intake. You're making your blood acidic, and you're ruining your immune system while in charge of a vehicle.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would fall under the headline of stupidity, in my opinion. So, Phred, what's next?
Well, I'd like to hear Katrin's answer to the question.
You know, what's coming to me is just thinking about the lack of critical thinking. You know, it kind of goes very much what Keith was saying about common sense. There's people are so reactionary to things, and I think that's where a lot of stupidity comes from. They react to something without taking a moment to have critical thinking, and it's so interesting in this society how we're no longer allowed to change our mind about things. So it's interesting. So I always try to preface something with my current level of understanding, because I may learn something new tomorrow that changes how I feel about this. And I reserve the right to change my mind based on new information. And I feel like people don't do that anymore. That they say, this is, and I think that cancel culture has a lot to do with that too, that, it's this idea that someone could have said something or did something stupid, in their 20s, which, let's be honest, our brains aren't fully developed until much later. So yeah, we do some stupid things without a fully functional brain. And we should be allowed to grow and learn from that instead of being shamed for something we did.
Okay, so when I look at this, there's stupid things we do, and I think you hit it best earlier about it's a process or a habit that we do that we won't get rid of. And to me, wisdom is learning from surviving and learning from doing something stupid. That's where we get wisdom from, ultimately, is I think. But where did it go? Why? You said critical thinking. Why isn't there more critical thinking out there? Why is there this entrenchment? There's this. I mean, to go back to the pandemic, I heard, follow the science, and I also heard somebody say, "I am the science," and it's like, to me, critical thinking was always asking as many questions as possible. I would have been, I like to ask people when they tell me they're Christian is what biblical persona would they most be attributed to by my friends? And mine's always, I was doubting Thomas. Because I've always asked questions of everything in my life. And just when I think I got the answer, I look at it from the dumbass of, are you sure about this, dumbass? But where did it go? Why don't people question more? In business, why don't they?
There's a lack of curiosity. Maybe, the phrase curiosity killed the cat being said over and over enough times got people to be like, oh, I don't want to be that cat and I don't want to die. I just want to ask questions. And because nobody else, again, and this ties back to stupidity, nobody wants to be thought of as stupid. So there's this balance between, well, if you ask questions, then it means you don't know. So therefore you must be stupid. So in an effort to not look stupid, we stopped asking questions and then we actually became stupid.
That's a theory. That's a theory.
Throwing it out there, see what sticks.
Yeah, right? I think there's a lot of truth to that, though. If somebody's been chastised or humiliated or shamed because they didn't know the answer to something, it does give them hesitancy to express themselves. That, and I think also, just from reading some of the chapters in the book that I was talking about, man, these people are educated. They are so educated, and a lot of it was because exactly what you're talking about, Catherine. They were told that they couldn't do something, and they're like, watch me. And then they went and they got way educated, PhDs and masters and degrees. And I look at these authors, and I'm just blown away by the level of education that they have. And it's because exactly that. Somebody said, you'll never be successful. You can't do that. And their insides, oh, wait, watch this. And they went and they did it. So I guess it could go both ways, right? If you had somebody who has low self-esteem and they're self-defeatist anyway, then they might go, yeah, I'm stupid, and just live with it and, not seek further education. And then you got those that go, hell no, I'm going, watch this. I'm going to show you that I can be educated and be smart, and nobody will ever call me stupid ever again.
Keith, you want to jump in?
Is another question here. Are they being educated or indoctrinated?
Oh, that's a great question too.
I did hear a guy say once that he said that he said he needed to stop his kids being indoctrinated in the college system because he didn't want them to be robots. He wanted them to think for themselves.
Okay, so I believe, there we go, the United States education system is exactly that. It's indoctrination. It's especially, I'll say, the lower grades, so elementary through high school, is set up to get to, maybe you wouldn't even call it brainwashing, to get people to comply, to get them to learn things that they could care less about. They aren't enthusiastic about it. They don't even want to know. And when they get out of school, they'll never use. But they are made to conform. And then what I believe, and I don't really know for sure, is college. It's another story. That is where, or maybe it's only Harvard, I don't know, where they start making you think for yourself more strategically, more tactically, and looking at things from a different perspective and challenging perspectives. But that I don't believe happens. It's like in high school, it's don't challenge me, because if you challenge me, you'll get an F and you will fail.
I listened to a very interesting story of a guy explaining about some post he put up, and a professor questioned him on what he said. Whatever fact he was saying, the professor questioned him. So he got back to the professor and he said, what are you basing your telling me I'm wrong on? He says, I'm a professor. I have taught this for 25 years. And the guy said to him, can you do me a favor? He says, yes. He says, find a textbook before 1920 and read it and come back to me and then tell me whether I was right or wrong. So he stayed in touch with the professor, and every now and again he'd ask him, have you found a book before 1920? And he said, no. 3 or 4 months later, he said, I was back up home, whatever part of the US that was, and he said there was a boot sale, and exactly what I was looking for, a textbook before 1920 on that subject, and I'm coming back to you to apologize because I've been teaching lies for 25 years.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It comes right back to what Katrin said, that I reserve the right to change my mind or my opinion based on new evidence that's discovered or that I learn about. I think that's really important. And I'll tell you, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who, I don't know, he talks about the biology of belief and how our DNA can be changed by our belief systems. Okay, so pretty out there in terms of what history or universities have been teaching for years.
From California.
He was a university professor, and same thing. He was teaching from the old scholastic books, and he discovered while he was teaching, he discovered that they weren't true. And so he said, I can't teach this anymore. This isn't true. And I said, oh, no. Well, you have to teach that. And he said, I quit, because he couldn't sit there and teach the students things that he had already proven were no longer true.
And I would much prefer to change my DNA through my belief than take in an mRNA injection.
And, one thing I'd like to add in is, I feel like so much of how the education was set up was about memorization. It was about rote memorization, and that was the basis of education. But that's kind of the good thing about having our smartphones and having AI, is we don't have to spend brain space to remember different facts. And then maybe the tides will turn back to critical thinking, because what else are they going to be teaching kids when they have access to all information in the palm of their hands? So there's got to be a time where, maybe it's just uncomfortable right now because we're in that transition period, as we hopefully, I pray, go back to a time where people actually can think and have critical thought and be strategic and ask questions, because there's so much more to discover, and we can hopefully set aside the arrogance of, we already figured out everything there is to know, no more exploration needed.
So true. It is arrogant. Here's a caveat to that, though. There is a lot of misinformation on the internet, so you really have to do your own research and dig deep. Because if you just, ask a question and go out on Google and they show you a page of information, it doesn't mean it's true. You need to keep going past the first page that you read and get consensus on what it is that you're learning about, because there is some real junk out there that I've seen.
Fair point.
So the idea of the cell phone, part of when I look at that, I won't talk about my first computer, but it was something I bought in 82, 83. And in the ensuing X number of years, computers have gotten faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. And we've gotten access to more and more and more information, to the point where with something like ChatGPT 4.0, in theory, you have all the information at your fingertips. And yet here we are talking about stupidity. We've gotten stupider the more information we've got, because ultimately, I think before you had to, as you put it, memorize certain things, but that formed a basis, a perspective to view new data. And if all that data is there, none of us can absorb all of it that's out there for AI. So we end up taking the AI-generated thing, and I've seen it enough times where it was wrong. Just look at, was it voice to text on Google, and it transposes it all the time when you do a search on services for that. So I'm just afraid we're going to get stupider and stupider because we've got more and more information at our access to our fingertips. The downer point of view from the guy who has 15 monitors in his office and 9 computers.
That makes sense coming from Doubting Thomas.
Doubting Thomas. Okay, so maybe, Phred, maybe it's not that we're getting stupider. Maybe we're getting more conscious and aware of how much we don't know.
Wow. So we're finally figuring out that in the vastness of this universe, which, depending on what you want to believe, is as much as 80 billion years old with current changes to the Big Bang Theory, that like we're this infinitesimal small speck, and we're figuring out that we don't know it all. I wish that would bring wisdom.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Final thoughts on stupidity, where it comes from, and what's the solution? What's the solution now? What's the top 3 points each of you would recommend to my grandkids on how to get smarter, less stupid, or not to do stupid things?
Okay, stay open. Stay open to hearing different viewpoints and perspectives, and looking at things different ways. And if you're struggling with that, put yourself in somebody else's shoes and try and imagine how they would see it. So being open to hear new ideas, new concepts, new viewpoints, new perspectives, and look at things different ways, super important, I believe, in helping somebody to not appear stupid.
So walk in other people's shoes.
That helps.
Fine. We're going to get a male viewpoint here, and then we're going to let Katrin finish us off with a female point of view. Keith, your thoughts on top 3 things you'd tell my grandkids, or Spider-Man?
Don't drink fluoridated water, because the fluoride is affecting the mood. It's affecting the pineal gland. Stay away from so-called diet foods, because that's caused the aspartame and stuff is causing mayhem in the system. Eat as organically as possible. All of this will improve your every part of you, especially cognitive function. Maybe the things I'd be thinking of, and ask lots of questions.
Fair enough. The Texas viewpoint.
I can't claim Texas. I can only claim my spot in the universe at this moment. But going along with what Keith said, what we're physically eating is incredibly important, and just as much as we are mentally consuming. What are we watching? What are we listening to? Those are all sources of, nourishment. So are you consuming content that's nourishing you and making you smarter? If we're just spending time watching TikTok videos of people failing and hurting themselves, and that's very caveman level stupid, being like, you feel dumb, right? So incorporating in there times where you're learning something that you didn't know, and being humble enough and able to set aside your ego to say, oh, I didn't know that. Teach me more. Tell me more. Let's learn more about this and dive deeper.
Okay, so I'm stuck on the one thing, because my wife says every time I see a video of some male getting kneed in the groin, I always crack up. And so I heard that.
Well, have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yeah, it's. I thought it was prophecy when I first saw it.
I mean, it came out in like 2005, and you'd think it came out like last year. It is that on point. But one of the shows that they had on that movie that was like the top-rated show was something like the guy getting kicked in the junk.
Uh-huh. And it's true. You know, I'm probably already halfway there. I think it's a learned response, because when that happens, all you can do, you either cry or laugh. And if you cry, people think you're weak. If you laugh, they say, I don't want to screw with that dude. All right, folks, this has been another Down the Rabbit Hole session of KPHRED Prime Live. My thanks to my co-host, Barbara Wainwright, our guest, Katrin Becker of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Business. Ugly of Business, got it right. And Keith Robinson, the man with the nitrous oxide fixation. We'll be back in 2 weeks for another episode of KPHRED Prime Live. Give me a second, folks. There we go. Lighting up the night. We're gonna dance like it's all last night alive. Hands up in the air. We're reaching for the sky, no looking back now, baby. We're ready to fly. The beat keeps pumping, flowing through our veins.
I'm Victoria Cash. Thanks for calling the Lucky Land Hotline. If you feel like you do the same thing every day, press 1. If you're ready to have some serious fun for the chance to redeem some serious prizes, press 2. We heard you loud and clear. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com right now and play over 100 social casino-style games for free. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.